Quick update from us. It's the 15th of April. I'm out in my front garden. And guess what? It's official. Hello everybody and welcome to update video number 3. And today we're in London and we're going to go on a bit of a sightseeing tour of the Thames. So come along with us. Going to go down to Tower Bridge, Tower London. You can see the Houses of Parliament and Big Ben in the background. And so yeah, come along for the ride. Oh bless, I couldn't have said it better myself. Welcome back to the channel everyone and to our third update video. So yeah, whilst we wait for our house to sell, we thought we'd start to say goodbye to the UK by having a trip down memory lane, and we took a boat trip from Westminster Bridge in London down to Cutty Sark near Greenwich and then back again. It was the middle of April and by jolly it was bloody cold on the Thames. Hope you enjoyed the commentary from the boat crew, and yeah, it was only £22 each and you can get off the boat as many times as you want during the day, and so yeah, well worth checking out.
A foot for every day of the year. That dome is the second largest unsupported dome anywhere in the world, and it took 35 years to construct this building. Sir Christopher Wren himself is buried in the crypt of that church. Now if you'd like to go visit this building, ladies and gents, a little bit of a tip for you all: Monday to Saturday they charge you to go into that building, but on Sunday, just like it is today, it's free to go. So you can go watch a church service in there. A very special building to go watch a church service in as well. However, I do say it's free. You are going to get caught at the end by a man that walks around with a silver tin bucket asking for donations. Where it's a church, a very quiet environment, they do encourage the silent donation. Now, if you don't know what I mean by that, that's your 5, your 10s, your 20s. If you enjoyed it that much, even your £50 notes. So I don't like any change being dropped into their bucket, as it does disturb the service. The brown brick building over there to our left, the City of London, School for Boys. If you've got any Harry Potter fans on board this boat today, that's where Daniel Radcliffe went to school. That is very, very expensive to send your child there. It will cost you £20,000 a term. Now, if you are spending that amount of money on your children's education, you would expect them to come out with some sort of magical powers after spending that amount of money on their education. This church over to our right hand, your right hand side. His name, it was John Harvard. He later emigrated to America. He was the founder of the Harvard University. The bridge now in front of the boat, London Bridge, the 5th London Bridge that has stood on this very site. The first one, it was made out of wood and built by the Romans. Previous bridges, they have fallen down. It's where we get the nursery rhyme from. London Bridge is falling down. The previous bridge to this one, the 4th London Bridge, it was sinking into the mud. So in the 1970s, it was sold to an American businessman named Robert McCulloch. He purchased the 4th London Bridge for $2 million. It was then dismantled stone by stone, shipped over to Arizona and rebuilt in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. It still stands there today. Now on our right hand side and up, we do have the Shard. That is Western Europe's tallest building. It stands in at over 8,000 feet tall. A viewing platform on the 72nd floor, and then the rest that's made up of luxury apartments, bars, restaurants, office space, also home to the 5-star Shangri-La Hotel. Now each luxury apartment in the Shard has been valued between 30 and 50 million pounds. The architect of the Shard, he was an Italian man. His name was Renzo Piano. He was offered £2 million for the design of that building, which he politely refused. In return, he said, if you want my design, I want a 4-bedroom penthouse apartment, and they did agree with his terms. He lived in that penthouse apartment for 2 years. He then sold it on to an American R&B and hip-hop producer, will.i.am, for a reported £40 million. The Harlem and Worcester shipyard in Belfast, Northern Ireland. It weighs in at 11,500 tonnes. This main armament is 12 6-inch guns. Now they can fire a 100-weight shell, 14 land miles. The first time the Belfast fired its guns in anger, that was during D-Day. The last time it fired its guns in anger was during the Korean campaign. Now permanently moored here in London as a floating extension to the Imperial War Museum. You can go on board exploring all 9 of its decks, going from the engine room all the way up to the Captain's Bridge. It's also used as a docking and berthing station when we have ships visiting London. That's why you see an orange fender in alongside it, the Yokohama boys. We did have a visiting cruise liner about come up a couple of days ago. It has now gone. They stay here for a little while before heading back out to the next destination again. Over there to our left, the Tower of London. Many things in its time. It's been a royal zoo, an observatory, a palace, a royal mint to make money, an armoury and a prison. Most famously known as being a place of torture and execution. Now home to the Crown Jewels. The last people to be imprisoned here at the Tower of London, they were the Craig twins, gangsters from East London. That happened in 1952 as they tried to dodge their military service. The oldest part of the Tower of London, the square turret you see in the middle there, it is the White Tower. Been there since the reign of William the Conqueror in 1066. You'll see along the river wall there to your left, the bricked up entrance, the whites rising above it, reading entry to the Traitors' Gate. Now, many years ago here in London, he was found guilty of committing treason against this country at the Westminster Palace. He was held in the prison just above the Westminster Palace. It's called Black Rod Prison. That's the smallest prison in the world. He was held there for 5 days. He was then rowed down from the Westminster Palace down here to the Tower of London by a Thames waterman by barge. You'd have gone through Traitors' Gate to suffer your punishment. Now, you'd have had your head surgically removed with a large axe. If you was famous, it didn't stop there either. You then have your head dipped in a barrel of tar, put on a spike at London Bridge to warn off any other future traitors. Now our destination, folks, Tower Pier, that's just behind us over there to our left. To get there, we're going to have to turn the boat around. And when we do so, you're going to get some lovely photos of Tower Bridge just on the right-hand side of the boat. Now Tower Bridge, it is the only bridge of its kind that's being a part suspension, part bascule bridge. The bascule parts are the centre arches in the middle, and they fully raise like a double-sided drawbridge to let taller ships come into the upper port of London. It's also the only bridge that is registered as a ship, as it always needs a captain, first mate and engineer on board at all times. Only one day in a year where Tower Bridge that will not open. But a lot of people guess Christmas, other special days throughout the year as well, but unfortunately they've all been wrong. It's the day of the London Marathon, as this bridge here marks the halfway point where 40,000 runners, they run across this bridge every year for charity and other good causes. I have been doing the live commentary on the way down from Westminster to the Tower. I'll continue this down now for our next part of the journey. We're going to start off over here to our right hand side, Butler's Wharf, once the largest tea warehouse here in London. Ships, they used to race back from countries like India and China back here to Butler's Wharf with their cargo. The first ship back to get the best price for its tea. Tea was worth more than gold at one point. Butler's Wharf, it has now been transformed into very unaffordable luxury riverside apartments. You will find some lovely bars and restaurants just along the ground floor there. The average price for an apartment at Butler's Wharf is in here between 4.5 and 5 million pounds. Very expensive to live along the banks of the River Thames. To our right, the entrance to St Saviour's Dock, where the scenes of the film Oliver was filmed up through there, where Fagin dropped the gold into the Mud River. If you don't know from that film, they're famous for a James Bond film that Pierce Brosnan starred in. So the world is not enough. They done a boat chase down from the MI6 building. They went through St Saviour's Dock over there to your right. They entered Greenland Dock, then they jumped a speedboat over the O2 Arena, the Millennium Dome. Over here to our left, we've got the 3 apartment buildings there with the green tinted glass. Now the architect of these buildings, he says they're supposed to look like 3 French soldiers marching. You've got the back of the buildings, they're supposed to be their backpacks, the roof has their berets, and the 2 boxes of the area on top, that's supposed to be their bayonets. I do believe he was smoking some high quality stuff at the time, ladies and gentlemen, because to me these buildings here look like 3 airport control towers. Now their penthouse apartments have been built for £5 million as well, so it's very expensive to live along the banks of the River Thames. As we carry on travelling down, you know, still on our left hand side, it's going to be a little slipway there, it's going to start to appear soon. The house to the left of this slipway, got the big tree there, does have a glass dome just in the garden there as well. And that house belongs to a very famous person. She's an actress, her name is Dame Helen Mirren. That's her house, she's over there to our left. The house to the right of the slipway, that belongs to Graham Hilton.
Royal Observatory. Now we're going to take you a bit further down the river and we'll turn the boat. And we're going to be on the other side of the river shortly, facing the other way, and you'll probably get a better view once you've turned the boat. You can see that steep hill goes right up to Thames House, and that is where east meets west, the line of 0 meridian passes right through. The two large white buildings with the grey domes, these are part of Greenwich universities. But years ago, this is where they trained the Royal Navy. So it was a naval college and a naval hospital as well. It's a nice walk along the river, past the college, into the pub, the Trafalgar Tower. And next door, another pub, the Yacht. So 2 pubs next door. The power station on the right, Greenwich Power Station. And if you follow the river's wall ahead of us, it goes all the way around to your left. And you can now see the O2 Arena, the Millennium Dome, the O2. Built for the year 2000. They now use it as an events arena. So a lot of sporting events are held there, concerts, there's cinemas, restaurants. You've got the underground station as well there. It's called North Greenwich, on the Jubilee line at North Greenwich. And from North Greenwich, you can actually cross the river. So from the O2 Arena, you can cross the river using the cable carts over the Thames. And you're going to see the cable, Canada, you subtract hours from GMT. And every clock in the world is calculated from Greenwich at 1 o'clock. Years ago, ships would wait in this part of the river, and ships would set their clocks before going out to sea. A very important job, setting the ship's clock. So usually one person was chosen to set the clock, and their job was to be on the ball. It's an old saying I'm sure you've heard of. A good timekeeper is a person who's on the ball. So that person was on the ball. And the captain, he would tell that person, the ball drops very quickly, so make sure you keep your eye on the ball. The O2 Arena is the other side of these towers on the right. You can see how big that bend is behind us now, the Island. The tall tower on the right with the flashing lights at the tip. The official name, number 1, Canada Square. Canary Wharf is the area of land. Years ago, ships came in from the Canary Islands. Mostly bananas, fruits being delivered from the Canaries. They called it Canary Wharf. You can see the aeroplane has just took off on the right from London City Airport. So there's an airport about 2 miles on the right in the Royal Albert Dock, London City Airport. And it's very nice what they've done to the river now, because they've got footpaths near enough on both sides of the river. Say 40 years ago, you never had footpaths anywhere on the Thames. Years ago, all you had was warehouses, and they were built flush on that river. Now looking ahead of us on the right, you can see the footpath that disappears. So you never had footpaths anywhere on this river until the 80s. And it's actually a long pass, a nice view there. But we're going to keep the boat over to the right. And then what you do, just before we go under the bridge, just to get closer, you see the top of the shard. It lowers underneath the bridge. So you can use the bridge as a frame. You've got to be quick. So the tide is pushing the boat. But you can see it's getting lower and lower. Just before we go through, you look up through the bridge. It really does make a nice view. You can cross Tower Bridge at the top. It's a museum. Years ago, it was actually free to walk over the top. As the bridge opened about 20 times a day, you could walk over the top for free. It's a museum today. Look at the top of the bridge. You'll see they've added glass flooring, so you can stand on the glass. Brilliant if you're up there, of course, and the bridge opens. Tide's gone very high. Sometimes we have to cancel the journey. This boat is so tall, we can't always go up through the bridges. There's one bridge in particular, Black Friars Bridge, very low. And on these spring high tide, we can't go. I mean, it doesn't always go as high as this. I think at the moment we have a full moon. So I haven't been looking the last few nights. But if you get a full moon or a new moon, you get a spring tide. It goes a little bit higher. And then we have trouble getting the boat through the bridges. The tide is going to turn very soon. The river level will start to drop. We'll turn very soon. A nice photograph of Tower Bridge is going to be on the right as we turn the boat. Now you may wonder why we're turning. So the tide is still coming in, and we like to steer the boat facing the tide because it's going to slow the boat down. A nice view there. Then we're going to go to your left underneath the London Bridge. Hold on tight, revert, ladies and gentlemen. Be aware there might be a bump. So there's not many of us in the boat, but I hope you've enjoyed it so far. Is everybody happy? One person.
Well, we certainly enjoyed the day. And I must find out if this camera's got a zoom. Anyway, thanks for watching the whole video to the end. As you may know, selling a house in the UK can take months, so it's nice to get out and about for a stress-free day. We'll catch you on the next video, which will include us being back in Murcia, looking at some properties. Starting to get exciting, so stay tuned.